Op doesn't want her husband to attend his ex's funeral. I'll admit I'm biased right off the bat. I couldn't stand her. I call her his ex for myself and others. He called her his friend. We're all in our early 40s. She passed away recently of an aneurysm. I've been with him for 10 years now, but he's known her for 20 plus years. The way he tells it, they were friends in college, decided to date, got married, then realized they weren't a great couple and decided to just be friends. All of that happened years before I met him. He was clear early on that she was important. A couple months into dating, it came up that his friend was actually his ex-wife. He explained the above to me, saying she was one of his closest friends and that it was purely platonic. I expressed some discomfort at him being so close to an ex, and he told me, "That's fine. If you have a serious issue with it, let me know now and save us some time. I'll choose her. I like you and all, but I've known her for over 12 years, and she's one of the most important people in my life. You'll have to be okay with that if you want us to be a thing." When we were engaged, I asked again. He gave me this perplexed look and asked, why would getting married affect my friendships? I sucked it up and went along. I resented every moment of knowing her, especially when we had to be social. She understood some part of him I couldn't. Her husband was friends with mine as well, so it's not like I could use him as an angle. He'd have lunch with the ex, they'd go to their geeky movies, and whatever. The few times I brought it up, he said, "We had this conversation before. You had your chance to back out." She passed away after they had lunch the other day on the way to her car. He spent a bunch of time crying, but honestly, I was relieved. He was working with her husband on funeral planning. I told him, "You don't think you're going, do you?" My argument, summed up, she's unalive, so she's not a factor anymore. He doesn't get to use his "she's my friend" excuse since she doesn't exist anymore. He had to cry for a couple days. He's done with mourning her already. There's no need for him to go to her funeral, since I wouldn't want her at his. He was the angriest I've ever seen him when I told him that, replying that he'll be going no matter how I feel, and that he's willing to burn this to the effing ground while holding up his wedding band. Besides you, she was the closest friend in my life. Him, her husband, and my sisters are calling me an insensitive arsehole over this, all saying that there was no romantic aspect to their relationship and that I'm heartless. Her husband went so far as to call me a ghoul for how I've reacted. I never felt their relationship was appropriate, and I hid that for years because I wanted to be with my husband. Now that she's gone, I don't feel I should have to hide it anymore and can speak freely. AITA for just wanting him to be done with her, and for him to not attend the funeral. Update on our 2X chromosomes via undead. We've been together for 10 years. But he's choosing to end all of that because of how I reacted to his ex-wife's passing. They were friends when we met, and his claim was that they'd dated and gotten married while they were young and dumb before realizing they worked better as friends than as a couple. He told me that if I wanted a relationship with him, I needed to accept that she'd always be part of his life. He'd do things like go to geek movies with her, and sometimes her husband would do their tabletop gaming, all of which I found boring. He and I had a mostly happy marriage, I thought, but I had to deal with her presence and pretend she and her husband were friends. I hated her, and when she unalive, I was relieved. I didn't want him to go to his funeral, saying that now that she was out of his life, he was done with her. I was called cold and callous for wanting to put my foot down. Yes, he went to the funeral, which I was very uncomfortable with. I asked him not to go again, and he just gave me this cold, expressionless stare. She was cremated, and my husband was given a little bit of her ashes in a small urn the size of a pill bottle. I told him it was creepy to have them, and he flipped me the bird. The past month plus of my life has been a nightmare because of her unaliving. My husband has barely talked to me, and I've received texts from nearly all our friends and family calling me a monster. All because someone saw my original post on Reddit and shared it with everyone they could, even people at my job. Many of the posts here were nice in comparison to the things the people I thought were my friends said. I was just out of town for several days on a work trip. On Friday, I came home to a partly empty house, his car gone, and a petty-sounding letter saying that we would be getting a divorce. Not that he wanted one, that it was going to happen. He'd already filed. He said that my post was one of the most hurtful things he's ever read, and that my jealousy of his friendship was insane. He wrote, "I effing watched her unalive. She was walking by my side when it happened. I have nightmares about it." He said I'd be keeping the house because I don't want to spend every morning waking up to a reminder of the years of lies that were our marriage. He left a list of what he's taking, saying I can keep the rest. His last line was, "If it had been me instead of her, she'd have been there for you in an instant. Remember that." I learned he's staying with her husband because that man sent me a long text telling me to stay away from his home, and he regretted ever letting me into his life. My own sister said if she learned I was dating someone, she'd fill him in on what a black-hearted C-word I am. So yeah, my husband is divorcing me because of his first wife's son alive. She's more important to him, and it seems to our friends, than keeping our marriage together. She's screwing up my life, even from the grave. Second story. I accused my boyfriend of cheating, but it was deeper than I thought. Technically, my EFF up was on Friday, but I just found out about this sub. Throw away for clear reasons. My boyfriend and I have been dating for 8 months now, and he's honestly one of the best boyfriends I've had. He is super kind and considerate, and he has helped me through some dark moments I was going through when we met. We currently don't live together, but things have been going really well. We hardly fight, and if one of us has a problem, it's easy for me to feel like I can approach him. About a month ago, I got a text from a friend of mine with a picture of my boyfriend eating ice cream with a woman I didn't recognize. He was supposed to be at work, and my friend who works in the same area as the ice cream store saw him there instead. I'm a little bit of a paranoid person because a previous partner has cheated on me before, so of course the alarm bells start ringing immediately. I talked myself through it, decided it was most likely a friend, and forgot about it. Fast forward to Friday. I got an early day from work and wanted to surprise my boyfriend at work and take him out during his lunch break. When I got to his office, though, the receptionist said he was out of office for a few days and wouldn't be back until Monday. I tried not to freak out, but I did a bit, and I drove to his place. He was there and let me in, and it was just him. He told me he wasn't feeling too well and called out for a couple days, and he was sorry he forgot to tell me. I stayed over and we got takeout, and eventually we both fell asleep on the couch. I woke up around 3 a.m. needing to use the washroom and saw his phone, and unfortunately, curiosity got the better of me. I knew his password by catching it a few times when he entered it. Not on purpose. His text messages seemed normal besides 2 conversations, one to a group chat with a bunch of people I didn't know and one to a man named Jay. The group chat stood out because the people in it talked to my boyfriend as if they were family, inviting him to vacations and outings, etc. But I knew they weren't his family because I had met them before. One person in the chat named Kristen also talked about how much their ice cream date meant to her, so I assumed she was probably the woman from last month. The texts to Jay were sparse and one-sided, with my boyfriend sending random "I love you" and "I miss you" messages every now and then. I probably should have realized then what was happening, but being the dumb barse I am, I took it as him having a partner and me being the side piece. I woke him up immediately and showed him the phone, asking who the FJ and these other people were. He looked so furious, I knew then, and there I F'd up real bad. He's usually very stoic and collected, but the moment he saw the unlocked phone, he got up and snatched it. He opened the Photos app and pulled up a picture of him and a man together. "This is Jay, my husband. He unalived himself 5 years ago." He then explained to me that every year on Jay's birthday, their wedding anniversary, and Jay's passing anniversary, he and sometimes Jay's family members would do things Jay liked to do. On his birthday, which was last month, my boyfriend and Jay's older sister, Kristen, got ice cream at his favorite ice cream place. He had taken a few days off this week because this was when he committed self-harm, and they all planned on visiting his grave. I had known my boyfriend was bi, but I had zero idea about Jay or his family. After he was done explaining everything, he calmly asked me to leave and not to contact him until he contacted me first. I love this man so much, and I don't want to lose him. But I just accused him of cheating on me with his late husband. I have no idea where to even go from here. TLDR, my boyfriend did some weird things over the course of a month, and I ended up accusing him of cheating. It turns out he was just honoring his late husband's memory with his family. Edit. I wanted to make an edit to cover some things because getting back to everyone would take a long time. 1. Did I ask him about past relationships? No, both of us met at a work event and took things slow. Neither of us were really even looking for a relationship. It was clear to me from the beginning that he was a private person and wasn't big on discussing vulnerable past stuff, and he never brought the past up either. I didn't think he'd have a whole deceased husband, so I never really tried to dig into past relationships he had. 2. I know looking through his phone was 100% wrong. There's no denying that. 3. I am currently seeking out a therapist. 4. He has not reached out yet. Update. Tifu update. I accused my boyfriend of cheating on me with his passed-away husband, and I am sorry for the lack of answers for the last few days. Anyway, here it is. We haven't broken up. He called me about 2 days after I made my initial post, ready to talk. I brought up some of the points a few people had about it being a little unfair that he kept the knowledge of his late husband from me after so long, and he agreed. He admitted that he was just scared that by telling me, okay, he was forgetting Jay. He acknowledged that it was an unhealthy way of thinking about it, and that he didn't mean to make it seem like he didn't care. Of course, I also apologized a million times for snooping through his phone and not coming to him earlier about seeing him with Jay's sister when it happened. We both agreed we had started this relationship too fast, especially for people who both weren't looking for something serious initially. We talked for hours over the phone before meeting at his place. We talked some more, talked about what we wanted from this relationship, and decided, for now at least, to try and make things work. We're both deeply broken people, and we thought that with honesty going forward, we could support and help each other heal. Thank you for all your responses, even the not-so-kind ones. They really helped me open my eyes and think, as well as push me to get a therapist. TLDR, we're still together. Lots of apologizing and crying. But we're going to try to make things work. Thank you for watching.